So I wanted to kind of show you guys what we do for Colton's IVs. He gets an IV every single night. We've been doing this for his entire life. We were off for a few months, but pretty much he's always on an IV. So he gets what's called lipids and TPN. We are on a different lipids. When we first started lipids, we weren't really educated. So we were on regular lipids, and then obviously that damaged his liver, and we went to liver failure, and he was listed for a transplant. We went on a study for Omegavan, which is a fish oil-based lipids. Now that his numbers have normalized, we're on a lipid that's called SMOF. So it's a soy and fish oil-based lipids. So this bag that we have is called a 3-in-1. It looks like this. And then what you do is you pull this thing out and it mixes all into one bag, which I'll show you in just a few minutes. So basically, I sterilize my counter and make sure that's all taken care of. And basically, I want to make sure it's sterile, and I have gloves on, so of course I wash my hands and then put these fancy gloves on. And the next thing I have to do is, these are vitamins, so they're little vials, and I make sure I clean them with alcohol. For any of you that don't know, I found this really interesting, but in order for anything to be sterile, you have to clean it for 15 seconds for whatever you're using. So as far as like medications or his IV or anything like that, it's 15 seconds of friction. And then the countertops and everything is 30 seconds, which really taught me a lot about cleaning, because nothing's really clean unless you clean that section for 30 seconds of scrubbing. So that has changed my life on cleaning. So I'm just going to clean these. These are already sterilized, so some people don't clean them, but I'm a little bit of a freak and I clean everything. So just sterilize those. And while I'm doing that, I'll show you that these little tops that I put everything in the IV bag, the company that we go through is called Thrive. It's the infusion company. And they actually put nice little tabs on everything to kind of keep the germs out and away. So, super nice. So basically, I clean the edge of the bag off, then I syringe the vitamins out of this vial. And then there's about 5 ml of vitamins in these. And then once I get that all in there, then I just stick it in the bag and put it in there. Once it's in the bag actually turns yellow, and then I can take this little nifty cool thing, pull it out, separate, or that keeps them separated, and mixes all into one. And the next is just the tubing. So I just open the tubing and I stick it into the bag. And like I said, I have to do this every single night, so it's a little time consuming every single night, but it's funny how when I first did it, it used to take a really long time, and now I'm pretty quick at it. This is really cool tubing. We actually got Boston to start carrying this for their whole floor for the kiddos that really need it. So I was excited to have helped implement that change. Colton broke a lot of their tubing. So we came up with this, and it's very nice because it gives him flexibility with him running all over the place. It's insane. So we don't want to break any tubing because, again, that's a risk of infection. So we just add this sunshine. It's hard. I always got to monitor them as well. So I just add this on there so he can kind of run a little bit more than normal, but and then it also gives him just the flexibility of not snapping it. And then we have this really cool little, it's like a parafilm is what it's called, but it's kind of like saran wrap, but it's different. It's made for medical stuff. And I put it on all the connections so that way it just keeps all the germs out as well. We've had a lot of line infections, so we just do everything we can to stop those. And so far we've been doing really well without any, let's not jinx ourselves, so knock on wood. And then all I do is I prime it. I hand prime it, so basically all I'm doing is getting the fluid down through the tubing. You don't want any air in that. So I just double check and make sure there's no air in it, and then I also prime it a little bit with a pump once I get it on there. So that's basically all I do to hook up his IV, and then of course I hook it up to him, which is a whole nother process. But I just kind of wanted to show you guys. I just have to make sure I get all the air out of this so it's not in his veins. And that's that. So if you have further questions, let me know. And then basically I do the same thing for his tube feeds. We put it in a bag like this, and then I also make sure it's primed through the tubing, and that hooks up to his stomach, and that's how we feed him. He does eat by mouth, but he's on a pretty slow drip of food for the formula, so he's not really hungry a whole lot anymore. So that's the best way to, he's on a formula that's pre-digested, or it's basically broken down so it can help him digest it. I kind of said that funny. So it is a broken down formula, and it just helps with him breaking it down. So that's that. If you have any questions, let us know. I am going to put together a feeding video of what we're doing. I've gotten a lot of requests on that. And stay tuned. All right, enjoy.